What's up, everybody? Happy New Year's Eve to you. If you are here on, in the west side of the planet, if you are in Australia or the East Coast, happy 2021 to you already. This is going to be a really fun live stream because I have some of your favorites and my favorite YouTubers in the sports card hobby with me. We're going to be recapping 2020 for us in terms of what we've learned in the hobby and what we're going to be bringing into 2021. Maybe different strategies or things we've learned that will help you next year as well. And also make some bold predictions because this hobby is moving very quickly. We're seeing so much movement in cards, in creators, in big time, just big names all over the world in terms of Gary Vee and some of celebrities, what they're doing. And I think 2021 is just going to continue like that for a lot of reasons. But without further ado, welcome back. Now let's get to work. Let's introduce some of the panelists, and we'll start with Chris right here. Chris, what's up, man? How are you doing?
How's it going? What's going on, guys? I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. I love the fact that your Christmas tree is still up and glowing and looks really magical, even though you're in the middle of the desert.
Well, I mean, you got to have some sort of joy out here in Vegas, and I hope that the city doesn't burn down tonight. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, cross your fingers on that. But Anyway, tell everyone that's not familiar with your channel just a bit about you and what they can find on your channel, Vegas Finds.
Generally, I'm going to be covering sports card content from an investing perspective. I like to research, find diamonds in the rough, and then make some sort of a profit off of it while enjoying the overall of the hobby from the perspective of an ex-professional poker player. That's what you're going to see.
Right. I love that.
Comedy on occasion.
There we go. Awesome, man. Now let's bring on Borys. In fact, I'm going to move it over to this. There we go. Borys, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Welcome to the stream. I know you got a lot of things working. You got your breaks. You got your card shop in the works. So tell everyone a bit about your station if they are not familiar with it.
Yeah, the Hobby Box on YouTube. So basically just covering mostly basketball is what I do. It's a lot. I cover a lot about investing and flipping mainly, and try and give just helpful tips in that and kind of what I've learned along the way. And also sometimes doing some predictions on what you can find that's going to be, especially within basketball coming up.
Dude, every time I see you, I have to mention that Kobe Bryant. It is a Bryant jersey, right? With the Simpsons, with Bart Simpson.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, Kobe Bryant.
And that was your friend that painted it or made it, right? Someone like you knew in Tampa.
It's a local artist. They're a friend of my business partner. But yeah, this is Skell work. So it does a lot of different art like that. Really cool stuff.
Dude, yeah, I need the link to that because that is sick. That is super cool, man. But very cool. Let's bring on Andy. And Andy is my best friend since like 12 years old. Our balls grew hair at the same time together. We talked about all sorts of things about girls and dating and cards back in the day. And then now we're both in as of around February, March. So Andy, tell us a bit about your station and what they can find there.
Cool. Thanks, Brad. Glad to be here. A little loud there. Cheers, guys. Yeah, man, I'm the football card guy. I come from a fantasy football background, a love for American football, the NFL. And that's strictly what I cover on my channel. I take primarily an investing and flipping approach. Just share my experiences. I call it the Fantasy Football Card Quest. I'm basically documenting my journey and sharing my mistakes and my successes so that everybody can learn along the way. And dude, I would not have made it this far or be here without you. So a huge thank you to you and Tom Brady for signing with the Bucks, which inspired you to reach out. And here we are.
Man. Actually, it always goes back to Tom Brady. It always goes back to Tom Brady is the reason I'm in here, and I'm so excited. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski signing with the Bucks was helped me through the first 3 months of COVID because I was still on that high of the Bucks getting them that I didn't even care that my body was going to crap and I wasn't working out, I wasn't getting sunlight, and I was stuck at home. But we can talk about that later. I want to bring on the last guest. This is Dustin. You guys know him as the personal finance dad. And we know him as the guy with the worst internet out of the five of us. I'm the second worst. But Dustin, literally, his internet broke off 3 minutes ago and then just hopped on. So if he leaves again, just,
Oh, no, you're going to love this. So the reason why my internet dropped is because my wife went down to the breaker box and just flipped a switch on the breaker box, and it just happened to be connected to her internet. I'm like, of all the times today that you decided to do that. Anyway, so we're going to go to therapy after this is over with. To talk through.
Your wife's probably like, you're always doing something. Every single day you're doing something. So I never know the right time to flip the switch or not. But tell everyone a bit about your station in case they're not familiar with it.
Yeah, so I started in March, kind of a reaction to, I guess, just everything going on in the world, and thinking like, why not? Why not start a channel at this point? I don't have a YouTube background or any sort of background in it, but I got back into sports cards and graded comic books and a bunch of stuff a couple of years back, buying and selling. So I was kind of already trying to find that content, and then realized there just wasn't a lot of it, or it wasn't enough for my liking. And so that's why I decided to start my channel, and here we are.
Awesome, man. Well, welcome, guys. And I see so many of you are in the chat, and we're going to maybe take some questions later on, but I thought it'd be really cool to just discuss what we learned in 2020, because it looks like this was the first year of us really getting back into sports cards. I know, Dustin, you were in a bit before that, but not to this degree. And I mean, just thinking back to February and March when I was thinking of cards to invest in and what's a good strategy and what's not, it's like night and day difference from then to now. And so I just want to see, like, if you're a new person or if you've just been in for a couple months and you're looking to really go in 2021, what you learn from us based on how involved we've been for the last year or so. So Andy, I know you've been in since February, March-ish, since I showed you those Chris Godwin rookie cards, auto rookie cards with jersey patches on it that were like $4. And then from there you were hooked. But what's one of the biggest takeaways you got from the hobby this year?
Man, okay, I'm glad you specified biggest takeaway, because there's just so many takeaways. I've learned so much since getting back in from my childhood, and man, I'd say the biggest takeaway is just learning the swings. Like, I had no idea what to expect there at the beginning of the football season, and that week one hype bomb is real, and I mean, we still haven't seen guys that were hyped up prices at the beginning of the season that have played good all year long, still not up to those week one numbers. And so that's a huge takeaway for me. And it just reinforces kind of my thought process and my strategy.
Gotcha, man. What about you, Chris?
I would say that the sports card market in general is an overreaction market full of emotions, and the window of opportunity is going to be small because the next game could bring the opposite emotion at a high velocity. So you might have, let's say, John Morant, and he's injured now, so his cards are going down theoretically, but as soon as he's right back on the court, they're going to jump right back up. And just because somebody's in his place doesn't mean that window for their card to move up is going to be very wide. Although if they have a good game in his absence, it's probably going to see more attention than it should. So kind of being in the nooks and the crannies of where that attention is going to go is something to focus on if you're looking to flip.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. When you know it's going to be that quick or that fleeting of a window, how do you take advantage of that? How do you get in and out in time versus being a step too late, even if you see the opportunity, but just being like a couple hours or a couple days too late on something that you see, knowing that games, especially in the NBA this season, there's a lot of back-to-backs and they're really crunching in a lot where you don't really have the time to make a lot of moves in a 12-hour time span.
I would say predictive analysis and careful planning. So if you look at the game slate, you can see who's playing in the next few weeks, who their opponents are, and then you can also take advantage of instant sites like ComC or StarStock where you don't have to wait on eBay for them to send the card to you so that you can have it kind of preloaded. Since they are competitive marketplaces, you kind of want to be where other people aren't. So take Julius Randle, for instance. The other day, Julius Randle cards just started flying off the shelves because he went crazy and the Knicks won a game. Who knows? That's probably not going to last, but Julius Randle cards started going crazy. I bought a couple on ComC, flipped them for almost double, but I didn't get heavily into it. If this was something that I could predict that Julius Randle was going to be the hot guy on the Knicks, I could have been buying his cards on eBay a month ago, waiting for that opportunity. So when the window is small, you don't want to have too many. You just want to have a small amount that you can get out the door, and then you want to take advantage of whatever time frame you have to work with as far as what you can get in stock. And usually that's going to be instant if you don't have time on eBay.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, and I learned this with Comp C, where I've been selling my Rui Hachimura Prism cards that I bought for like $5 or $6, selling them for 15 or 16 bucks. It's not big, but it's still a 3x return.
Sure.
But yet I bought prisms of him, I bought optics, and I think I bought a few mosaics. And I noticed that everyone flocks to Prism first, which is expected, but they're not necessarily looking for value compared to the other sets with a player that's not really proven. It's more like, who is this guy? He might be decent. I'm just going straight to Prism. And I've noticed that Optic and Select and Mosaic, it's more reserved for the players that have that higher Prism amount. Like, people are looking at that as second, third, fourth option. But as long as Prism is affordable, people are just ignoring the others. Like that's at least what I'm seeing on Comp C. So I sold all my Rui Prisms, I think like 10 or 12. 3 or 4 optics, and I think I have 4 or 5 left, even though it's a fraction of the price. People they're not caring. And then all the mosaics no one has touched, even though they're like $2 cards. So I've just noticed that if you're going for these under the radar players that are just emerging, for me, I'm not touching their other rookie cards until they have that level of consistency, and then I'll go to the other cards when I feel like it's a better long-term option. So what about you, Dustin? Before your internet cuts out again, what's like the biggest takeaway from 2020?
I'll just answer all the questions right.
Oh man, already?
Right.
What happened? Where's my wife? Where's my wife?
She's out blocking your mail again, man. No mail, no internet.
Yeah, no, kind of piggybacking on what you guys were just talking about with ComC and especially Star Stock, it has kind of added a day trading element to sports cards, where I think that a lot of people, eBay, gives you, sort of gives you that, but like you were saying, you've got to get it uploaded. You've got to get all your stuff uploaded. You've got to ship it. You've got to figure all that out. Whereas ComC's been around for a while, but I'm sure over the last 12 months, they've done probably more business in the last 12 months than they did in probably the 5 years previous to that. And then Star Stock is kind of trying to take advantage of that as well, where they're looking for people that are, that want those instant transactions, quick transactions. So, yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, with next year coming, are there going to be more sites like that? Is that going to continue to progress? And that'll be one interesting thing to watch for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if there's room for others, just because I feel like ComC has so much of the foundation in place because they've been around for so long. They just need to innovate and keep up. And then Star Stock is just like grabbing the bull by the horns. They got Kevin Durant and then others investing. And I feel like, do we need another platform, or do we just need those ones to grow and perfect their systems? Because personally, I don't want any more platforms. I don't want more. I just want more cards on the fewer ones. Because just like Chris, you were mentioning, you had a tab open on ComC, one on eBay, one on Star Stock. And it's like, and then what are those other ones? We have StockX, which I haven't used once. And I honestly haven't heard of too much lately. Like I heard about 8 months ago and 9 months ago, but I don't hear anyone really going into StockX. And the other one, Mercari, where it's more like a Craigslist type of thing. And it just sounds like the worst usage of time ever. So I'd rather it just be eBay, get fine-tuned, eliminate the scammers, ComC, get a bit more up to date and a bit more like 2021 versus like looking like 2004. And then Star Stock, just keep doing what you're doing and grow, and then we should be good there. But Borys, what about you, man?
And we're talking about lessons, right? Because
something like that. Yeah, so 2020 in cards, what's the biggest takeaway that you're like, damn, this is what I learned about cards that I want to help someone else realize that could just be getting in the hobby a week ago?
Yeah. So basically the biggest thing is I'd say this all the time is don't get married to your cards. At the end of the day, they're cards, and they're going to have ebbs and flows. They're going to, in season, they're going to rise, and out of season, they're going to go down. So you want to sell in those ebbs and flows. Like you want to sell when it's hype, and a lot of people don't like that word, and a lot of people don't want to use that word, but that word has a huge effect on the market. And it really is. People are buying hype. They watch a game where someone balls out and they go and they buy all their cards. Well, you want to have your cards posted when those people are coming to look to buy those cards. And if you're sitting there married to your cards and thinking, man, I don't want to sell right now because this card is going to be worth 10x this in like a year or two from now, you're going to lose. It's like, get that money out and invest in someone else. And then later on, if you like that player and they start to come back around, then you can invest in that player again. So there's always going to be opportunities to pick up those cards again.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because even when I got those Rob Gronkowski cards, I got them because I wanted them for myself as a long-term investment where it doesn't matter when they would spike. And then he came out of retirement, and these cards I got for $84 a piece. It was the Topps Chrome PSA 10 rookie card. I was able to sell them for $350, then $400, and then I think the highest one was $500. But I also knew that he wasn't going to be in the league forever. He could be injured. A lot of things could happen, and there's no way the prices would continue to go up. And so it's kind of like, yes, things will go up, but everything that goes up will eventually soften, and then it'll have another period of going up. And we see that with stocks and real estate and everything else. So there's always going to be the opportunity to buy in when the prices soften. But one thing I kind of want to deviate on, because we talk about hype, or we hear hype a lot, and it's like, don't buy into the hype, da 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 da. But what is hype? Because I think when people buy cards, they don't think they're buying into the hype. They think they're buying into the merits. They think that it's like, no, this guy's really good. He scored 28 points last game. So how do you guys differentiate between hype and not hype? And like, I'll start, just because when I see a lot of people talking about a specific person or a player, I automatically backpedal just because I know there's attention. So attention is one thing. And then for me, I have to look back at, were you good in college? Because college I don't care about. How long have you been good in the pros? And so, like, to me, that's one way of differentiating between hype and merit. But we just hear it a lot. Oh, don't buy the hype. But everyone gets that wrong, even if they don't mean to. So anyone have some input on that?
Yeah, the first place I'm going is basketballreference.com. I want to check out the track record. So when I was researching Domantas Sabonis, and I was thinking, man, maybe this guy is good. He hasn't really had a chance to show himself on a team. He was kind of caught up. Wasn't a starter. Miles Turner was in there before they started playing them together. And then last season, he put up 4 triple doubles out of 10 games. And he really showed a lot of signs of being able to produce all of the stats across the board. And it seemed to me like he was in a prime position to have a breakout season, especially since he wasn't part of the bubble games because he had some plantar fasciitis issue with his foot. So that, to me, all seemed like the perfect potpourri of a guy who has potential. He has the skill set. He's shown that the track record could be there. But when you're looking at a guy, you want to see what it looks like. We were talking about Vucevic, you and I, earlier. Mm-hmm. And, if you go, you're just random guy, right? Like Vucevic puts up a great game, double-double with a few assists, whatever. And then you look it up at Basketball Reference. He's been an all-star one time in like a 12-year career or something. You look at that, it's just not as enticing. So what's the track record? But then likewise, you look at Dwight Howard and you see that he has a very robust-looking career, all the stats. So even if you didn't know anything about basketball and you compared the two, Vucevic might be playing better. He might have more of an impact on the Magic, but you would pick Dwight Howard as a guy to buy because he has a bigger resume.
Gotcha. Anyone else that uses some sort of process to decipher? Dustin,
yeah.
With your hand up, what's the answer?
Isn't that our code thing? What's the code word? Ice cream?
Yeah, the code for I need to talk versus we all just talk over each other is a hand raise. So I'll give you credit there. I just have to make light of it.
Well, I think that, attention can equal the demand part. When we talk about the supply and the demand piece, so whether you're right or wrong on whether that player is going to be the next LeBron or not the next LeBron, or he's going to be an all-star or he's not going to be an all-star, if there's attention to that player, however it is, positive, negative, whatever, if he's trending on Twitter for whatever reason, then people are going to go buy the cards. So it's sometimes there's, and then I think it depends on your game plan. I know a lot of guys on Star Stock, they buy the card at 50 cents. The guy gets in the game, scores 15 points. He might be something. The card goes up to $7. They sell it. So it's not like, it's not like he needs to be the next LeBron. He just needs to have a good night. And then you move with cards or whatever. So I think it depends probably like what's your angle, what's your goal with it, and you can kind of take it from there.
Okay, real quick, going back to that, because for me, like Nikola Vucevic, I look at this guy and, he's been consistent. He's been a good player, but it all boils down to the fact that I was getting his cards for like $9, like $9 Prism Raw cards. And I go, he's a better player than the vast majority of this year's rookies and last year's, because half of them are going to be out of the league in a few years and will never be starters, while this guy is definitely the best player for the Magic. And so to me, it's more like, well, that $9 Prism card, when if the Magic win tomorrow and they're 5-0, that one ESPN headline, which is like the undefeated teams, is this the team the Magic break through? Boom, that could be that one little moment for that $9 card to go up to $24, and then I'm good, I'm out. So the word I like to use with that, like what you were talking about, Dustin, is just disparity. It's like, not everyone's going to be LeBron. They don't have to be, but buying guys that are $3, $8, $20, and then getting the 2X, 3X, 4X and getting out, and then moving that money over to LeBron or Kobe's or whoever. That's the way I like to do it. But it's always the difference between what you pay and what you sell for. I'd rather buy a card for $50 and sell for $200 than buy a card for $1 million and sell it for $1,002. So it's all about that profit margin there.
I think it depends too. If you really like the prospecting stuff, I probably do less prospecting than like Chris. Vegas Finds Chris knows a lot more about basketball than I do, as far as like these up and coming guys. Like we'll have conversations about G League guys and stuff, and I'm just not following it. So I don't have that sort of But he's on top of a lot of those guys. So when they do move, when they do get in the game, he can. That's where he can take advantage. I'm not doing as much prospecting as maybe some other guys, but yeah, I mean, so it just kind of depends on what your angle is, for sure.
Cool. Andy with Andy in the back.
So,
yeah.
So Brad, when it comes to football, I think that the college resume, the college performance and metrics are really important because, especially when it comes to skill positions, because of, like the age apex, the fantasy experts consider age 27 to be kind of that age apex for running backs and wide receivers. So we have so much focus, what I've noticed this year, on the rookies. And I think what Dustin and Chris alluded to is that one good game, from those guys, 3-4 touchdown game can take that, or will take that rookie card, from pennies on the dollar to a few dollars for their premium to, 10, 20, 30 X of what it was. And the bigger market team that they're on, look at Chase Claypool was a prime example early in the season. He's a really big body wide receiver. He didn't necessarily have the resume to make him an alpha in that team scenario with Juju and Deontay Johnson and their other weapons, but he came out, had a 4 touchdown game off a Deontay Johnson injury, albeit, and his rookie cards blew up overnight. So, those are kind of things that we look for on the football side that you can really capitalize on, and that's why Star Stock is so nice, because you can flip them really quick, or ComC.
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed with what you said is that hype and merit, like merit, you actually do the research yourself and you come up with your own conclusion, while hype, it seems like, is coming from external sources, right? It's like what I heard on this, this content creator or what Gary Vee or what ESPN.com or someone else versus, okay, but let me look at the footage. Let me compare the prices. Because, I mean, sometimes it's like, dude, there's a lot of hype around this guy. But if his prices are 5 times the prices of the next best guy, then maybe the next best guy is the better alternative. So, to me, it's all about like merit comes down to what you see and do yourself versus what everyone else is saying is the answer for you.
Exactly. And in football, that merit is huge because it goes back to college. I see Power Hour there commenting on Justin Jefferson. And the guy had incredible hands, didn't have a big, wasn't a big 5-star recruit coming out of high school. But if you talk to people that follow his college resume at LSU, the guy had incredible hands, route running, and he's with Kirk Cousins, and he still is setting Randy Moss records this year for his rookie season. So, and his rookie cards have gone up, 10, 20X since the beginning of the season. So that's that merit that you're talking about in football specifically. A lot of it is coming from their athletic profile and their college resume.
I've got Kirk Cousins rookie cards if anyone's interested. Let me know.
No, we'll pass. What do you think, Borys? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, if you're hearing about it, it's probably too late. Like if you're looking at I mean, it's too late for the big bump, at least. I mean, if you're looking at who's those guys? The people that put up the charts all the time, like stocks. What are they called?
Oh, like the Kramer dude on
not StockX, the
slab stocks.
Slab stocks, yeah. So if you're seeing a chart of theirs and you're watching that go up, you're probably late to the party. You need to be watching. You need to be heavily invested in watching these sports that you're trying to invest in. If you're not, you're gonna end up losing. I mean, there's telltale signs. I mean, you look at like even the Atlanta Hawks. There's so many mouths to feed there that it really comes down to. There's a lot of talent there, but who's going to have the time? Who's going to be on the floor the most? Because time plus talent is going to equal. Is going to equal better performance. It's not talented and coming off the bench. Unless you're looking at someone like Karis LeVert or something like that, who can just put up outrageous numbers coming in off the bench. And most teams, I mean, you're not going to see too much of that. But yeah, I mean, if it's you're watching it on a Instagram post or something like that, you're probably late to the party. You should be doing some investing outside of the season. Most of the time, if you're buying in the season, you need to look for the guys who are going to have the most opportunities coming up, or you're just looking at perfecting buying raw cards and getting them graded and sending them out.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about what you mentioned with the slab stocks and whatever chart you see is one of my thoughts is like knowing that people are reacting to headlines and to charts, and whether the charts make sense or not, knowing that when someone sees a chart of a player going up or whatever, they go out and buy. A lot of times, the question I'm asking myself is, what have I not seen lately from content creators, from different charts, and what will I see? I've not seen a single baseball card being mentioned at all. And so I'm like, all right, great. Everyone is focused on basketball. Everyone's buying there. And I've been buying up baseball cards, and I've just bought a couple players. I'll release that in a mail day video coming up. But seeing how the off season really benefited basketball with the card prices going from like really low in October, super low. I sent that to you, Dustin, that Anthony Davis. We were talking about an Anthony Davis PSA 10 Prism rookie card that had dropped to about $1,100 or $1,200. The last one sold for, I think, $2,400, and we're only talking about 2 months' time. So imagine turning $1,200 to $2,400 in 2 months. Now you take that again, you roll that over into the equivalent of baseball or something else, and you really got something. However, I've not seen any content creators or anything on baseball because there's no hype around baseball yet. But I know that once it's there, once the next wave of soccer comes, I think there will be a second wave at some point. Then it will go up, and then here's everything. A tweet from Gary V: soccer cards are on the move. Boom, there it goes. And because it's that easy to have people react, then I'm going to play that game. But like you said, if the chart's already out there, I know it's already too late for me.
Should be. I mean, and then like some of the strategies that I use like for basketball is like you want to invest in the younger players before the season, because a lot of people are going to be investing in those players if you can. A lot of people are going to be investing in those rookies like towards the beginning of the season, and then once you get into the season is when you can kind of start turning your focus more to some of these veteran players that are on teams that are going to make it very far into the playoffs, because if you notice, like their prices are still down. They're not to the height of where they were before. So there's a lot of growing to happen with those players like Giannis's and LeBron's and people like that are going to make noise coming into the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and I'll also add when basketball starts, usually that's a time to look into the vintage and the Hall of Famers, the retired guys, because it's just not as exciting to invest in the retired players when money needs to be allocated to the guys that are actually playing. So that's something else to consider. But going into 2021, like who has goals? Anyone like written down goals or have big plans in the hobby or on their YouTube channel for 2021?
I'm just going to increase the quality and the quantity of my YouTube content, and then also branch out into other areas of social media, start taking advantage of things like TikTok, building a following on Instagram, and really just try to Gary V the spider web out pretty much everywhere. And then for personal goals, I just want to lose more weight, meditate more often, be as healthy as I can, because who knows when the world's going to explode and I'm going to have to run like a jaguar. you know?
I'd love to see that visual. I'm like, that's not a Jaguar. Pretty sure it's a Jaguar. That's not a Jaguar.
No, that's not even the car in the Big Lebowski. It's just some guy.
That's cool, man.
Fighting a Jaguar. Natural selection.
I'll talk about my goals real quick, and then maybe it'll spark some ideas. But I've been doing a bit of thinking about it. But the big thing is I want to be full-time in sports cards as well as content. So between everything, full-time, and that means I'm going to go a lot heavier into higher-end cards. I dropped $2,500 on a couple PSA 10 rookie cards of a player just the other day, which was the biggest investment I made. And I lost out on a bid last night that went to about $2,200 or $2,100. My max bid was $1,800 and change. But the whole thing is that I feel like what we're talking about, we're really good at winning more than we're losing. You're right. You know, we all have our losing investments. We all have the ones that didn't pan out. But you know, as long as I could win more than I lose, if I can add a zero, I'm okay taking that leap. And so going full time in cards, as well as I want 50,000 YouTube subscribers in my community. I think that's a stretch goal. It would take a lot of, you know, take divine favor. It would take some big things, but I want to put it out there because I feel like what we're doing is responsible, and we really care about the hobby as well as the people in our community. So that's a big thing. I'd love to meet Gary V. That's one thing I'd love at the national, perhaps going to the national as well. And I want to do something big for charity, and I want to I like the number 20,000 just came into my head, where I want to be able to make enough money in this and sustain it that I write a check at the end of the year of $20,000 to a charity, probably an animal charity, because I've learned that I like animals a lot more than people, but you guys are cool. But I think that'll be more of a driver to keep me focused on big goals, knowing that I can do it for someone else. Appreciate it, Jordan. Appreciate it.
You trying to get your mail, or what's that?
I'll go next.
Go for it, Dustin.
I want to have a stable of Jaguars.
I thought you were going to say a stable internet connection.
No, that's dreaming too big. And
I would also like
have something internet. Realistic.
Yeah, you didn't let me finish, and I would also like a stable internet connection. Piggybacking off of Brad, I want 50,001 subscribers. To pass him by one. Price is right.
I'll just unfollow you then.
You guys have this rivalry. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's amazing.
I thought you meant 50,000 for all of us combined, but okay. So as far as, honestly, I think I'm just going to be slow and steady with kind of a boring goal. I'm going to continue to just kind of do what I'm doing in 2021. I don't think I'll increase the frequency because I'm doing like one a day. I don't want to have to get on like heart medication, so I'll just continue with that pace. But no, I mean, it's honestly, it's like, it's stress relief for me. It's not a chore. It never feels like a chore. So, I really enjoy doing it. So I'll probably just do exactly the same thing next year and just kind of take it as it comes. StreamYard's probably going to still be sponsoring, and just the whole family will be living off of that.
Well, I see now you can afford a really nice fern behind you, which reminds me of that Zach Galifianakis movie, Between Two Ferns. Oh, okay, the wreath. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
I thought that was a hat.
I thought that was a legit stage prop you got there.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look more sophisticated with this wreath. I was like, my mom was like, "What can I get you for Christmas? Like, can you get me like something to look a little bit more sophisticated in my background?" So yeah, we've got it smells delicious. It's great.
Take a bite, man. See what it tastes like.
Yeah, it makes for good TV. Take a bite right now, Dustin.
Yeah.
If you position it just right, you get that, like a Patrick Mahomes hairdo going.
When they're like, how did they get 1 million views on that live cast? Well, it was actually when he took a bite out of that wreath, poisoned himself, and then died on camera.
Hopefully,
I can really use the help achieving 50,000 subs, and I'll need you to bite that and die for us to reach that goal. So if you wouldn't mind.
With Jaguars all around me.
Anyway, Borys, what about you, man? You got some big things going on. You got your card shop. You got breaks. What are you seeing for yourself in 2021?
Yeah, man, just full-time cards and content, basically. Having
Multi-level marketing, multi-level marketing card company.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You selling
Pretty
lotion?
much what it is already.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, you selling lotions? Is it like an MLM? You know?
Oh yeah. I definitely. I mean, I have a lotion company coming out. Yeah, for sure. It's called the Hobby
Boris
Box
Bomb.
Lotion.
I put my order in now.
Yeah, right. So no, it's like, yeah, I mean, I've already got the multi lines going. I've got so much stuff going on. I just would like to be like full-time cards and, with the channel and things like that. Yeah, have a good work-life balance and some, run like a cheetah, I guess.
Ooh, man, dude, the mental images are just destroying my mind. It's horrible.
Yeah,
What's the deal with the card shop? Is it still just finding a lease and going one day at a time type of thing?
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of doing the back work right now. It's just like connecting with people. I mean, the hardest part about getting a shop going is finding like good wax deals and things like that. And then right now, it's just not the best time to sign a lease right now. I think it's probably going to be a little bit better. We thought there would be more leases because, people going out of business and things like that. But there's a lot of safety measures right now. I know that kind of stinks to say stuff like that, but I'm sure there will be some better lease opportunities coming up in this new year. So.
Cool, man. Good luck with that. We're all excited about that because that's pretty ballsy to do a brick and mortar store out of this, which I'm sure there's a ton of work that you're doing behind the scenes. Andy, what about you, man? What's your big goals for 2021?
Yeah, man. So 2021, I just cracked 1,000 subscribers. So can't thank everybody in the community enough. Yes. And I wouldn't have made it this far without you guys here. So very thankful for that. Having a big live stream party tomorrow night, kind of commemorate that, do a big giveaway. 2021, I'm going to follow the suit. Obviously, going to be heavily involved through the Super Bowl, and then I want to start a vintage series. I think Dustin might get a little excited about this.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know you were doing that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I want to start diving into some vintage investments. One of my favorite cards is my Tom Brady rookie card. I know that's not quite vintage, but I want to get in. I have some cards from the 70s and 80s from my father's collection that he handed down to me. So I want to start a series around that, specifically focusing on football. I've also, kind of dipped my toes in the water this year with a lot of raw cards, and I want to get into more grading in 2021, and just, continue evolving and leveling up my video quality and consistency. Continue to focus on that, man. And I'm looking forward to going to the national. I'm putting some money aside now, some time aside now to hopefully make that trip if COVID can finally just go away.
Yeah. Is everyone here planning on going to the national in Chicago next summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, you as well?
We'll see how it goes, man. I don't know. I want to have high hopes for America and the world, but we got to get through all this COVID stuff first. I mean, I'm pretty high risk if I actually contracted it or one of the mutations that's out there now. So I got to be pretty careful. But ultimately, yes, of course, I would love to go meet up with people. It would be a fantastic experience, but we're going to take it one step at a time.
All right. Well, hopefully it's far enough out and we'll be good to go. Because I mean, that's one thing I've been thinking of is this hobby was so much fun when it was in person, right? I mean, it all stems from the card shop and having the conversations in person and just trading, talking about trading, and then just like the back and forth banter of what we think of cards, what we think of sports. I mean, it's great to be able to do this with y'all. And like, I mean, there's 142 of us watching this right now, which is insane. But the face-to-face is everything. And the fact that I can't even imagine how big the national would be next year based on the growth of this prior year. So I'm definitely planning on going. I'm not very high risk, I don't think, but I'm just going to go unless for some reason it's canceled. But moving on to bold predictions. Like we got some really big moves in 2020. We had we had Kevin Durant invest in Star Stock. We had PSA hire like 90 people. It looks like they've really taken the lead there. We got record sales in terms of how high cards have gone in terms of auctions. Any bold predictions for what's going to happen next year?
I got some. I'll go first. The first one is that digital collectibles are going to get more market share than people think, and they are going to start to garner acceptance.
What did you say, Chris? Say that again.
Digital collectibles like NBA Top Shots. No secret,
Okay.
I'm on the NBA Top Shot train. And I think other than that, I mean, Topps has their Garbage Pail Kids on the Wax blockchain. I just think that the sort of the disparity between people who accept digital collectibles and those that don't there's going to be a bridge there. So we're going to see some digital collectibles popping up for sure. That's the first thing. Damn, Borys, you got a fanboy out there?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When you super chat, we get to put it up. So
I'm expecting you to Venmo me. Brett.
You gotta at least take the hat off or the shirt off or something, boys.
Boris, make your all right. That's a start. I mean, I can't do it. Like, I'm not that cute, but you got it, man.
So that's the first thing, the digital collectibles. I know people are going to get some resistance on that, but I think over time we're going to see the acceptance this year for the first thing.
Okay. Well, one thing real quick, Boris, you better be at the National. Yeah, we got someone here who wants to meet you. So,
all right, the next two, there's going to be a grading card company scandal. I don't know if it's going to be PSA, but it's right. It's there. It's in the weeds waiting. We're going to see a scandal at one of the grading card companies.
Well, that's one thing Brad didn't mention is the huge acquisition from Nat Turner and Collectors Universe there.
Well, so my thing was, the one thing I'm thinking is SGC had that early boost where everyone was like, well, PSA is taking forever. Let's go to SGC, Beckett. And then I feel like PSA is just dominated. They've done what they could to at least speed it up, right? We're going to hire a lot. We're going to get more things in place. I haven't heard a damn thing about SGC or BGS. And I think what's going to happen is that they're going to crumble unless they get bought out, unless they get someone like a Gary V to say, I will partner with SGC because I have the name and I have the know-how to get you at least competitive again. But right now, I'm not even searching SGC cards. I'm not even searching BGS cards because I'm worried about how hard it would be to liquidate when I want to liquidate them. If people are even going to search for it, kind of like how I was saying, I'm not going to buy a Rui Hachimura Mosaic or Optic rookie card now. I just want the Prism because when I want to get rid of it, I want to make sure that someone else wants to buy it. And so my big thing is I think one of those companies, either BGS or SGC, will be bought by someone big in order to really compete with the way PSA is taken over.
And the last one that I have is that Star Stock, and this is going to be a contrarian completely. Star Stock is not going to be as successful as people think. That's a bold prediction. And I have a lot of mechanical reasons, and I'll make a video about this and COMC and some other things from a procedural perspective, but I don't believe that Star Stock is going to be what people think it will be. I think it has potential, but there are a lot of issues. So I will outline that at some point in the video.
Hey man, I like the honesty, and you pointing that out too is great feedback for COMC and Star Stock and everyone else because it's all about improving. And I don't see every platform. I see holes in every single platform right now where fees are high, scams are high. I can't buy easily, I can't sell easily, whatever it is. But it's all about improving, getting rid of our pain points. The other thing I want to say is I think there's going to be a card that sells for over 6 million next year. That's my bold prediction. I think 6 million, the way it's doubled, I think 6 million is doable with the right card. And also the way that we're printing so much money that people are afraid of holding US currency, that everything else is really starting to pick up steam, whether it's Bitcoin or gold or anything else. And the idea of just saying, look, they're printing all this money. I don't want to hold it because it's losing value by inflation all the time. Let me park it somewhere else. And if it's like a one of one, LeBron or Jordan or whoever else, and it's 6 million plus with a fractional ownership as well, I think that's very doable.
Well, we've got bold predictions, guys. Those were my three.
Yeah. Guys, if you even read the list, I sent it out to you.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I'll take the. Oh, Dustin, you want to go? I was going to say mine is pretty simple because bold predictions outside, like specifically talking about cards. I'm just going to go with artificial intelligence grading cards. I think I've heard all of us talk about it at some point. I think it's only a matter of time before they invent some kind of, similar to a ballot scanning machine, some type of card scanning machine where it assesses it. some type of machine that's run by a person, but it assesses the card on all facets of the grading spectrum.
Gotcha. Dude, that'd be crazy if Upper Deck got the license too. I just saw that because I'd love to see Michael Jordan cards. Now, I miss seeing new Jordan cards because Upper Deck has that title. But Dustin, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I agree with Chris with NBA Top Shot. I do think that it's going to pick up steam. I bought into it, and at first I didn't quite get it. I was kind of slow to kind of wrapping my head around it. But, I probably have a dozen of them, a dozen moments is what they're called. I don't think they're going to be, as big as physical sports cards, but it doesn't need to be, though. It doesn't need to be. It's a niche thing. And I think that it's going to have an audience that will grow, and I think it will gain popularity next year. Speaking of the fractional share companies, I think that I was watching a podcast, and they were talking about it was 4 or 5 people. Adam Lefko was on it. There's a few different people that were on it, industry people. And as far as the fractional share companies go, there's maybe like a handful right now, 5 or 6. They predicted that there was, like, based on all the buzz that they were hearing, that there could be as many as 50 of those funds a year from now. Mm-hmm. And so my question then is, well, even if you have 20 of those companies, where are they getting all the inventory? Where are they going to get all because there's only so many Honus Wagners. There's only so many Michael Jordan PSA 10s that people are willing to sell to. So does it then trickle down into, I've talked about this in other chats as well, but does that trickle down into Patrick Mahomes fund where they put 25 Silver Prism PSA 10s or whatever it is, and then you can put money into the Mahomes Silver Prism fund or whatever. It could be a whole draft class. It could be, I guess that's my thing is, does it branch out into a bigger thing, or, does it completely fizzle out? If there's 50 companies that come on board, 5 years from now, there probably won't be 50 companies left. So then it'll be the question of which ones survive, which ones don't survive, why or why not. I haven't bought into the fractional shares yet, but it's something I'm definitely watching. Yeah, I'm paying attention to it. And then the last one, I guess my last bold prediction would be, I think that CGC, which is CSG, is going to make a little bit of a splash next year in sports cards and Pokemon cards and stuff. But they're kind of on the outskirts now. All the news is around PSA. PSA just got acquired, so they're already the 800-pound gorilla, and now they're going to be, just that much higher up. But I think that they're going to make a little bit of a splash. I'm not saying they're going to take, half the market share or anything, but CSG, which is a branch of CGC, which does comic book grading, I think that they'll do a little bit, put a dent into market share next year. I think we'll see more of those.
Borys, did you give us your bold predictions?
No, I did not.
All right, man. Well, we're expecting a lot.
So bold predictions. This could be simple, but I think that we're still just at the beginning of the sports card market craze. I think another one.
Dude, man, I gotta cut you a check.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the hell, man? Hey, I gotta grow a beard.
This is gonna be donated to Dustin's Stable Internet Fund.
Yeah.
So
hey,
it is going to a good cause.
Borys, do you want to do a live show every night of the week?
I'm pretty sure at one point, Borys, you did say that you were very huggable.
I'm very, very huggable.
You're like a big teddy bear, man. It's true. Yeah, but anyway, back to bold predictions. Keep your focus.
Okay. All right. No, yeah, I think we're still at the beginning of the sports card craze. I think this is what kind of like the I would say the sneaker kind of market kind of looked like back in the day, except with sneakers, like I think a lot of businessmen and different people that it didn't cross as many cultural what do you call it? I'm trying to get the words out, but it didn't extend across as many people. And I think the sports card market kind of extends across a wide variety of ranges, especially interesting a lot of businessmen and things like that. And so I think the market is going to continue to rise over this. Show us a nipple. Why is my name Boz? So anyway, no, I really do think the market's just going to continue to rise and rise. So I think we're just seeing the beginning of that. That's one of my predictions on that. And sports, and because of that, sports card content creators will become mainstream. I think that will happen in 2021. I think that there will be some sports card content. You'll see more sports card content creators kind of coming across into those like ESPN outfits, like different things like that. Maybe even, I mean, maybe it's not ESPN, maybe it's another kind of network here on YouTube or something like that. But I think it'll become more mainstream.
I totally agree. And one thing I've noticed with this community is that I'm seeing more and more people from different parts of the world get involved. And I think if you love sports, there is a decent chance that you will be interested in sports cards, especially if you have your favorite player and you have reason to believe this player will do better over the long run and there's actual money to be made if you are right. It just makes it more fun. Like, I know fantasy football, I'm not into fantasy football because to me it's just a lot of time without a lot of payoff. But the idea of now buying certain players on other teams that I would never really care about up until now, because I can invest in their career and their overall growth, it's way better. And then I'm seeing people, that are just interested in soccer all over the world. Well, if soccer cards weren't really big and you had stickers, but they weren't really big, and now you are a diehard soccer fan, why in the world would it not be popular for you to go out and buy some of your favorite players for $20, $50, $100, knowing that there are others that would be interested in paying a premium when that player does better? So I see really big things internationally. Yeah. And I also think that's a really good hedge against the U.S. economy. Like, if people are worried about the U.S. economy crashing, well, we got China, which loves basketball, and we have the rest of the world that loves soccer. And if the other parts of the world are really interested in cards in those sports, then I think it's going to be huge. So I'm not nearly worried about that. I'd say football and baseball, I'd be more concerned locally if the U.S. economy crashes and whatnot. But with those two other sports, I feel very good about.
Yeah, I think going into that kind of I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of different people that are in it, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think with football, the biggest thing, and I've told a lot of people this, football, we really didn't see what that new market looks like for football this year, in my opinion, because of Pokemon cards. You would have saw way more interest and way more things going on with football cards if Pokemon cards hadn't made their kind of dash that they made, and people's attention were drawn away from football. If there was no Pokemon card craze going on, then football would have been a lot higher. So you kind of saw it at the beginning of the season before Pokemon started going wild. You saw like $3,000. What was his name? Golly. Quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson. There you go. You saw like his cards were up in like the 3,000s at the beginning of the season. More people started turning towards Pokemon. So you really didn't get to see what football actually is going to be this upcoming year. And then you also have COVID kind of pushing into that as well. People getting knocked out of games. But really, I mean, sports cards to me has become kind of like the new DFS. Like it's daily.
Not DTF.
Huh? No,
not DTF. Okay, gotcha.
No.
Yeah, man. That week two of the season crushed a lot of potential investors, I think, too. I mean, you had ACLs popping off and knees left and right, man.
I will give the NFL a lot of credit, though. I did not think the season would go this smooth overall. I mean, like, there was a lot of COVID protocols and but I mean, pretty much like you have 52 players on a team in all these different states, which have different guidelines. For them to actually go a full season without any major delays, like baseball had those crazy delays, and they didn't have a bubble situation in NFL. I'm very impressed that it was able to happen. And, college had like a bunch of issues as well. But I do see a couple questions here quickly. And if you guys do the super chat, it's really hard not to answer your question. So let's just touch on a couple of these here. Kyrie Chase asks if the new Kobe documentary will have an effect on Allen Iverson's cards since they played together. I can definitely see a spike. I think either it's a spike because of legitimate attention or a spike because others are thinking the same thing. So if you're first to move on it and then you sell to those that are thinking your same thoughts, but a week before the documentary or a day or whenever, I think that'd be a good time to move them. What do you guys think on this one? Any input here?
I mean, Allen Iverson obviously has a place in history. I believe he has more hype than his resume allows as far as the skill set goes. But I mean, it's again, like we were talking about earlier, demand versus window of opportunity. There are people who are diehard Allen Iverson fans, and then there are people who are going to be hyped up and emotional because of seeing the documentary, if he's included, and will buy in that short window. So if you want to invest in Iverson cards, try to pick and, get a few of them to flip at the time, then sure. But, I mean, it's probably not going to be a very big window overall.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Any other thoughts or?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, Allen Iverson, these guys, kind of the old school players, they're kind of like the New Balances of the sneaker world. So like, when people come into like sneaker flipping and stuff, because I watched a lot of that, and a lot of the people that came over from sneaker flipping that are driving this market right now, a lot of people buy into the hype stuff, like the whites, the off-whites, and Jordans and all that stuff, like things that are easily up there. But then as you kind of get more into like as your taste starts getting more refined and you become like a better collector of different things, then people start moving towards stuff like New Balances and things like that, of like rare shoes there. And it's kind of the same thing with the basketball market and with all the sports markets. I think as people's tastes and start maturing and things like that, you'll see more of the buying into like Allen Iverson's, into different players who have huge resumes from the past.
What's really interesting about what you said, Borys, is another bold prediction I had for 2021 is that Select will really spike the most. And the reason I believe that as a set, and the reason I believe that is because Select is one of those sets where you're not introduced to it right when you start in the hobby.
Luke.
It's more of a set that you learn about like 6 months or 8 months in. Like it's not something you can chase. So I really think that as a lot of collectors and investors get more experience with print runs and different sets, they will look to those under the radar sets and use Prism and Optic as more of the currency, but then go to these other sets that are a bit more like advanced, or you have to learn more about, that you can't just try and chase at a Walmart, or there's not nearly as many breaks of them online. So I'm thinking Select, and I love Select, right? I obviously love it, but I think that will be the biggest to rise next year, just based on it being the second year for so many of us. Real quick, let's go over Gareth's comment here. And I think, Dustin, you'd be the best to answer this. You kind of did, but CSG is the one you were talking about, right?
Yeah, CSG is kind of the sports card arm of CGC. And CGC is the biggest comic book grader. And I think that they took a couple of guys from Beckett, I believe is right. They took a couple graders from them. And they're supposed to be rolling out at some point here at any time. I don't think they're accepting cards yet, but I think that's coming in the next month or so. And I've seen a lot of comments kind of on their posts. I follow them on Twitter, and I've seen people commenting like, hey, I'm ready to send you cards. Like, I've seen a lot of that where people are ready to roll with CSG, and it's just a matter of them opening their doors. So, is it going to take over PSA? Probably not. No, I'm not saying that, but if BGS is going to take forever and, SGC is going to take forever, I think that CSG has got an opportunity. I think resale value, do people like the look of the slabs, the aesthetics? I think that's going to play into it too. Do people just like the look of them, and do they resell well? Because that's really why, what drives PSA to be number one? It's not because they have beautiful looking slabs. It's because the resale value is quite a bit more than the other companies. That's really what drives it.
It's the confidence in being able to liquidate, kind of like confidence in the US dollar or something else, or confidence in buying $1 million card. It's not that it's worth $1 million. It's the rationale that I could sell it at $1 million or more in the future. So, and that's where it boils down to, is just what is that perception, right? That's why I don't have a problem with SGC or BGS. I have a problem with, if I have their cards, which I do have some of them, can I actually sell them for what I paid or more, versus if I had that same card in PSA, even at a lower grade. So the way I see it is just like, I just feel like they can't do it on their own, because PSA is just going further and further ahead, that they really need a partnership. They need to get bought out. They need something big to happen. Let's move on into who's going to be winning the championships. We got the Super Bowl coming up soonest. And I guess, Andy, let me start with you. Who is playing in the Super Bowl and who's going to take the W?
Is this a good time to put on my Tampa Bay beanie?
All right, man. Well, pick it with your heart.
Of course. I mean, come on, man. We're blossoming at the right time. We've got the comeback king.
Woo.
Hot
take. I need to move to wine now. Now we're getting into this conversation.
Yeah, I know we got to get through the Saints, right? Green Bay's got the first round bye. Kansas City, who's going to beat them? But yeah, of course, I'm biased, completely biased in saying Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. Tom Brady, because the Bucs are going to figure out a way to put pressure on Mahomes, and Tom Brady will come back by more than 14 points in the second half, and we'll squeak out a W there.
I'll throw out a hot take. I would rather the Saints play the Bucs, or no, excuse me. I would rather the Saints play the Packers in Lambeau than play the Bucs in the NFC Championship game. Even though the Saints smoked the Bucs twice in the regular season, I just do not want to play Tom Brady for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I do not want to be in that spot. So I would I know all the Packers fans are going to rip me saying like, oh, you're crazy. The Saints can't win in the cold weather. I would much rather go to Lambeau and just turn on our running game and do that in the snow than deal with the Bucs and Tom Brady. I wouldn't want to do it.
The Bills are going to win, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize to the other fans of any other team out there, but it's the Bills' year.
It could be their year, man.
It could be. It could be.
But here's the one thing I love. I don't know if I love it. It's great about football is that it boils down to one game, right? One pass interference call, one kick, one missed field goal. It's not a best of 7, so it's not necessarily the best team that wins. It's whoever showed up best that day. And the Bucs have been up and down, and yeah, they're looking better now. But I mean, look, they beat the Lions, who had their 3rd string quarterback and 4th string everyone else. So it's not like they should have blown them out, which is true. But my heart picks the Bucs. I will have to say the Chiefs win, even though it's a boring answer. It's just I feel like they haven't been winning by a great margin the last couple of games, but they always seem to win. And I have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll go Chiefs over Seahawks. But I kind of want the Bucs not to win the Super Bowl just so that Tom Brady plays longer and longer because he's not going to go out a loser. So I'm like, just 5 more years, Tom. Like, as long as the line's good, he'll be fine. But next year, I'd probably go with the Bucs no matter what. I'd love for them to win, but I'm going to go Chiefs over Seahawks.
I mean, Tom Brady's got an eternal chip on his shoulder. I think he'll keep playing whether he wins or not, honestly.
Packers fans are feeling quite jaded right now.
Dude, that's a chip on the shoulder right there, man.
Yeah, they're like, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Rodgers doesn't get the MVP, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, right there. I mean, Josh Allen definitely the most improved quarterback from last year to this year, just playing lights out, man, lately.
I just don't see how it can. I just don't see how though. Like we can sit here and say that Patrick Mahomes is not the best player in football. Like that's the part where it's like maybe Rodgers is having a great year, maybe the Packers are doing well, whatever. But when you watch the games and you watch, it's like Pat Mahomes is above everybody else.
He's the heir to the throne, to be sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? This is what it is that picking the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes is boring, just like why other people wouldn't invest in LeBron and Kobe and the other greats, because they'd rather take the chance on this rookie that could be half of what they were. So it's like even saying the Chiefs will win it's like, oh, what a boring answer. But I really think that they have the best shot. It's not like going out on a branch. But in terms of investing, I think that's the way a lot of people feel is like, I'd rather be right about this guy being half as good as someone that's proven who's actually been doing it for the last several years. And, you wind up overpaying on a lot of those guys. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Dollar Box as well. Thank you so much for the super chat. He's a very supportive dude. Please check out his channel as well. I saw his comment in here earlier. And who else didn't give a pick for the Super Bowl? Chris or Borys?
No, Bills with me. Buffalo.
Borys, did you give your pick?
No, I haven't.
All right.
So first of all, it's going to be a super interesting. It's going to be very close with the Bills and the Chiefs. But I do believe the Chiefs pull it off. And you know me, I've been big on Josh Allen since last year. I've been talking about Josh Allen for a long time, and Josh Allen is exactly the quarterback that I predicted he was going to be this year. Josh Allen, most improved player, 100%. And I think next year they're going to be competing for it again. I do think the Chiefs are going to outwork them this year. And I do believe that it's going to be Chiefs and Packers in the Super Bowl. And I'm predicting that the Packers are going to beat the Chiefs because their running game is way more established than the Chiefs. And I think that's where they're going to do their – I mean, it's first of all, it's Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I'm not – you can't not be an Aaron Rodgers fan. It's like, you know, but I'm not like his fanboy.
Did you get that term?
But I just believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to pull it off. He's going to beat out Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of that is actually going to have to do with Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones is just a monster, and they're gonna beat out the Chiefs for the Super Bowl this year. And the Bills are. Man, I'm sad for them because they've done such a great job this year. I just don't think they're going to pull it off. But I think they could pull off next year, maybe. If they can get, yeah, they have a bright future. I think if they could get a better running game, I think they could be onto something there. Stephon Diggs is amazing, and Josh Allen is looking really, really good this year. He's fixed a lot of things, a lot of his mechanics he's fixed, and I think that's why he's become a better quarterback.
Cool. Very good stuff. We'll move on to NBA, but before we do, I just want to touch on this question. Score with Vince asks, he's new to investing in cards. He bought 14 boxes of 17-18 NBA Prism Fast Break. What's the next move? And Borys, I think you're the number one on basketball, and you'd be most familiar with this. I want to start with you. Because I'm not very familiar with the fast break or sealed wax overall, but if you had that, what would you be thinking?
17-18. As far as wax, I mean, I would always sit on wax. Sealed to be better long term. I think Tatum still has a pretty good future. There's a couple of guys that are like under the radar that could break out from 17-18. I mean, you got John Collins that's been playing very well. Who else is 17-18? You got Donovan Mitchell. So there's a good chance that in the next couple years that 17-18 becomes a little bit more worthy of investment. Right now, people are huge on 18-19 and 19-20, mostly 18-19, but there's some really good players from 17-18, and I would probably hold on to those boxes and sell them once they get up there in price. So,
any other input on this?
With those.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sealed wax in general, and I think 17-18 definitely has maybe a slightly overlooked rookie class. You got a lot of guys in there like Bam, John Collins, like you said, and there's just a ton of good rookies. Maybe not a bunch of LeBrons, but there's Tatum and then a bunch of guys who are second-tier players for sure. And, you know, who knows what sort of potential they have in the future. But sealed wax is a better investment than opening because it's so hard to resist it. You have wax in the room, and you're going to probably open it. You need to just take it, stick it in a room behind you somewhere, hide it, forget about it. But that wax is if the rookie class is decent, the wax will always improve value. So that is something that if you really want in the future, if you can beat the retail flippers, take the wax, hide it. That's definitely a strong investment in general.
Cool. Dustin, any thoughts on that one, or pretty much agreeing?
Kind of along what Chris was saying is just don't rip it. Like if it's an investment, if we're talking about investment, if you're collecting it, you just, you know, you're having fun with it, then fine. But for investment, if you were trying to make money off of it, just don't open it. So either sell it now or sell it later, but just don't open it.
Yeah. And for me, I don't know what you paid for it, but it always boils down to what profit can you get now? And then is there another investment that you feel more confident about rolling that into? Because if there's something you're like, I don't know, I can get 3x the money, but I really see this other investment that looks way better, then sell it and then go with what your own research and what your gut tells you is a better investment. But that's about all I got because I don't follow that set too much. Royal Collectibles, Happy New Year to you all. For one, thanks for the $25, dude. That's that's like a month of internet for Dustin. I mean, I won't give him the money, but like if he got it, that would be like a month's worth of internet right there.
One slice of emoji cake, Brad.
All these guys that are paying, I brought them all in, Brad. So I expect
probably did, man.
Sorry, it was Borys's beard that brought them in.
Borys reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, is Borys going to be on the live?" I'm like, "Yeah, he'll be on the live, but you got to tip."
See, my skill set is just bringing the money makers together. So I bring Borys's beard and his big burliness. I bring Dustin's mentality. But anyway,
on the next slide, we're all going to have fake beards, giant fake beards.
There's a good bold prediction.
Shiny forehead.
Borys's beard would outgrow James Harden's beard next year. That was a bold prediction. I could see that. I'm kind of cutting your faces off with this comment, but Borys, I know you collect Pokemon or you're more familiar with it, and it's your birthday. I would, I guess, like to join you in the talk about TCGS. Just email me or email one of our these guys here, the comebackcardinvestor.com/contact. You can message me there. Just give me some time to respond. But happy birthday for you. Happy early birthday. And thank you for the birthday present you've given us. But anyway, for Pokemon and other trading cards, is there any thoughts you guys have? I know, Borys, you'd be the best in terms of Pokemon. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that, man, I don't want to say it because I don't want people to be mad at me.
Uh-oh.
Just do it, man. The beard will save you anyway. So put it out there.
If you do it while rubbing your nipple, it'll balance out.
Nipple, beard, it doesn't matter what you say.
I think Pokemon, I think first edition is the only route to go anymore. I think you got your like first editions on any of those classes of first edition. I think those are safer. I think anything outside of that is just kind of come and gone, and unfortunately in this type of market, like somebody's left holding the bag. So if you've got a bunch of that and you invested a lot of it, hold it, and maybe there'll be a resurgence. I mean, we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, or is it 20th?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think it's 25th.
I think first edition will continue to hold value. But outside of that, like I said, yeah, anything outside of that, I think is done as far as like seeing that go up.
I agree with Borys. We're seeing a lot of reprints, which is something that they traditionally do in those games. I've been involved in Magic, was an executive buyer for a number of years, and basically spent from the time I was 14 to 30-something on just Magic before I started with poker. And those card games have a die-hard following. But if you look at Magic the Gathering and you research it, you'll see that it is trending downward. And like you said, the first edition stuff is going to be who the diehard collectors and the people who are in it for nostalgia are going after. But if you look after that, all these reprints and all the new stuff, I mean, I don't think the new cards even touch a candle to what the old cards look or feel like. And it's the same sort of thing with Magic. And I think you're going to sort of see a slight downtrend as people are getting into other collectibles like sports cards especially.
Andy, did you have something to say on this?
Yeah, sorry, Andy, I didn't mean to.
My comment, I was still wheels were still turning on the sealed wax because I took Ziggy No's advice and bought some Hoops premium stock. I bought a bunch of Hoops premium stock at retail prices, and I have no desire to rip it whatsoever. So if you don't want to be tempted to rip your sealed wax and have that as an investment, just buy a sport that you're not interested in. That's what I do with basketball. And when it comes to football, the 2020 NFL draft class is so deep between quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. You can't go wrong. I mean, a lot of times, even if you open it, you're going to at least make your money back. But I think if you hold that sealed, it's going to just keep going up and up and up and up.
Yeah. Interesting points there. And it's kind of like ice cream. I don't like mint ice cream. Like mint to me is for bubble gum and for toothpaste. So it's stuff I spit out. So the idea of swallowing mint is disgusting. So if I had mint ice cream, I would never touch it. If I had chocolate ice cream, I'm going through the whole pint in a single serving. So I kind of look at it that way.
What about an Oreo Blizzard, my friend? That's all I can say to you as far as mint goes.
Okay. Anyway, we're gonna end this pretty quickly, like in the next 15 minutes or so. But I want to thank you all for joining. But also, we got this question here: undeniable the native, Jason Tatum PSA 10 or Luka PSA 9. Which one should I sell?
Which
I'm guessing these are prisms, but Dustin, what do you got?
Well, I was gonna, like, which set are we talking about? Is it prism? Is it
We're talking about base prism is what I would assume.
Let's assume base prism.
I would say neither. Hold on to both of those.
Okay, Borys.
That's my boring answer. I like both of those prospects. Longer term, I guess. Unless you need the money right now, then tell them now.
Dustin, I can't hear your internet connection.
I mean, there are so many variables there. If I had to sell one and I was in the market or interested in selling one now, I'd probably sell the Luka now because I feel like expectation is higher for Luka, so he's more likely to be let down. While people are aware of Jason Tatum, he perhaps doesn't have that height of expectation. So I would keep the Jason Tatum just because it's a 10, and I feel like his expectation is lower, so his ceiling is probably higher long term.
Yeah, I would.
Go on, Borys.
I was gonna say. I mean, you heard what I said about the rooks. I would still put Luka Doncic in that category of he's being viewed as a rookie and like his expectations as far as like the hypeness behind him. People are big on 18, 19. You got to look at the card. I always tell people this is like when you're looking at a card price, there is expectation baked into the card. That is obvious because the way you can tell that is if you look at LeBron James Topps Chrome. And he at the height of LeBron James Topps Chrome this past year was like around 16,000. And that was during the playoff bubble. Then he won the playoffs and his cards fell down to $12,000. Or they went to 12, and then they went all the way down to 9, which was his new baseline. So expectation is already baked into the card. So with Luka Doncic, people are predicting that Luka Doncic is going to be MVP this year. There's high hopes in that. And so his card prices are already on the rise. They're almost back to the level. Honestly, PSA 9s are way higher than they were last year, which is surprising because they're actually outperforming the PSA 10s right now from what I've seen. So I feel like the PSA 10 has a little bit longer to go. Jason Tatum, there hasn't been as much of a uptick in him yet. I think you'll start seeing a little bit more of that as the season progresses. So I would hold the Tatum for now. And should I say not long term, because any of those base cards, that's like dollar bills for me. I mean, not in a way that it's
Borys is a baller. Borys
no. What I mean is like it's not when you have a PSA 10 in Prism, you're looking at a dollar bill. When you're looking at a Jason Tatum, like numbered to 99 PSA 10, you're looking at like $100 bill. That's kind of what I perceive. Those values will drop. I think Jason Tatum in general has a lower population report than an actual Luka. So there's going to be a lot less supply for the demand that will be there.
Awesome.
Sorry,
we're going to give our NBA picks momentarily before we jump off. For one, I want to thank all of you guys for joining. There was a height of 197 people or so on here, which is insane. And then there's a question about baseball that I'll show after we give our NBA picks. I don't think anyone here follows baseball. Maybe Chris, you do a bit. Maybe. Oh, thank God. Thank God. The one thing I will say with Luka is that Mavs have not looked very good. I don't know what their record is, like 1-3 or 2-3 or something like that. Just not very good. But then Kristaps Porzingis should be back in a few weeks. So whether he performs or not, I expect there to be hype, and maybe Luka's prices will see a bump based on the return of Porzingis. And then, that could be a time to sell if you want to sell this early. Just a thought there. Let's see. Let's do this baseball question, and then please, no more. Oh man, I think someone else do a super chat.
Man.
Someone else did too. Damn, we got to keep going.
We're just gonna make money, man. You gotta go.
This can actually make money.
You brought a jug or something to piss in, Brad. I know you.
Oh, dude, that's so bad.
Hey, this one doesn't say my name.
To everyone in the chat, my PayPal is
24-hour stream. Let's go.
All right,
super chatting. We'll show our nipple.
whatever you want, guys. Whatever you want. So, Chris, I guess you'd be the best one to answer this. And please, in the comment section, if you saw this comment, please respond to Deftones22. If stocking MLB rookies, do buyers care years from now if it's flagship series to update? Buyers care if it's the same image with different sets. Baseball is the furthest sport that I know about. So, Chris, please enlighten us with whatever you know.
There's so many variations, and obviously Topps has the exclusive baseball licensing. So I would say that it really depends on what the hobby wants. For some reason, whether it's Pete Alonso with the sock, without the sock, climbing a tree, there's always some sort of variation that everyone wants. So when I was talking about combinatorics on my stream the other day, I would do the same thing here. I would take stock of the player that you're thinking about, look at every single version of a card available, and see what the most desirable one is now. And it's hard to predict what's going to be the most desirable years from now, but chances are if there's one that kind of sticks out, then that one is probably going to be the one that people desire in years to come as well.
Okay, awesome. I hope that was worth your $5. That's all I got.
I love the Deftones. Great band.
Yeah. Good stuff. That was good. That's throwback right there. Okay, real quick, let's go over our picks for who is going to win the NBA Finals, and then there's one more question we got to touch on because he dropped $2,500 or $25.
$2,500
super chat. So Emmanuel, we're very appreciative of that. That's huge. So let's just do this. Our picks. Andy, I know you don't know a thing about basketball, but I assume you at least know the name of a few teams. So who do you have to win the NBA Finals? Just throw out a name.
I hear about it from afar. I heard that Ja Morant went down with an injury. I know that LeBron James is on the Lakers. Luka's on the Dallas Mavericks.
There you go.
So doing all right. And Damian Lillard is on the Portland Trailblazers. Right?
That is right. That is correct.
So I'm just going to go with your hometown, buddy. Lakers. Repeat.
Yeah, solid choice. I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Chris?
I think that the Lakers are going to win. They have depth. They've added. They've increased. I mean, they got Montrezl Harrell at a steal. When I was picking up Montrezl Harrell cards for $5, I knew they were going to pop because in the free agency, he was going to get a good deal. I didn't know that he was going to go to the Lakers for like $9 million. That to me is crazy. It was a steal. He obviously wants a ring. He wants to be considered one of the better players. So I think you can't really argue with the Lakers, but I think the Pacers are going to surprise people. They're actually pretty stacked. Sabonis is a beast. He's having a breakout season so far. So I would assume that it's going to be the Lakers winning, and who knows? The Bucks might be the biggest letdown.
What about you, Dustin?
Yeah, it's kind of a boring pick, but the Lakers to repeat, it seems like it's meant to be. I mean, it just seems like it's meant to be. Like Chris said, they picked up Montrezl Harrell. I mean, one of the Clippers' best players, and they were already good. They just got better, So, and also, there's just not another team that's scary enough, really, to kind of take down LeBron. LeBron's kind of he's the guy right now. He's the he's the king of the throne right now. So I think he's going to have, and also I think he sees an opportunity to really add to his legacy. Just being that there's a lot of good young talent in the league right now, but there's not a lot of guys that can compete with him, veterans, that can do it. So yeah, I'm going to stay with the Lakers.
I think the Nets have some sort of a chance there. I know that there's a lot of hype around the Nets, but I think ultimately the downfall of the Nets will be ego, and that's it.
So who do they beat, Dustin? Who do the Lakers beat?
Who are the Lakers going to beat?
Yeah.
Who's going to – you know what? I think the Celtics are going to get over the hump. I think they're going to make it happen and get over the hump in the playoffs. I don't think the Heat are going to repeat and go back to the finals. I think it's going to be the Celtics. They're going to bring down the Nets.
All right, let's see what Borys has to say.
I don't think he agrees.
Tell us, Borys. Go.
The Heat aren't going to make it. That's for sure. Not the way they're playing right now. They're not going anywhere. It's going to be honestly, and this is a bold prediction right here. The Nets are going to win. The Nets are going to win, and here's what's going to happen. and the Saints aren't winning either. But I haven't seen the ego playing out. I think the coaching that they have has pushed them in the right direction. There's not a lot of ego going on there. They're passing the ball when it's time to be about the business. Kyrie is definitely coming in and putting in his work. We're just starting to see KD kind of heat up. And the biggest thing is their secondary team. I think that's what pushes them over the top. Their team, Karis LeVert, the guys that they have coming off the bench could start probably.
Absolutely. Jared Allen is better than DeAndre. Absolutely.
and it's that's what's gonna do them in. And also I'm predicting, and I hate to say this, and you guys heard it right here first, but it'll be the Lakers. It'll be the Lakers and the Nets, and LeBron's gonna go down with an injury in the finals, and that's what's gonna push it over the top, and the Nets are gonna take it.
Kyrie versus LeBron, man.
So Borys, you have LeBron going down with an injury versus one of the Nets, either Durant or Irving going down with another injury.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I had the Lakers just because it's the easy, safe pick, and on paper it makes sense. And I had the Bucks because I just feel like they're sucking right now, but I think they'll turn it around, or maybe I just hope they will, because it's like I always want to root for a small market team because I'm really an Orlando Magic fan, and I want to see a star from a small market team do well rather than face that heartbreak I felt in 1996 when Shaq left for LA, and I was a huge Magic fan. But I don't know when the trade deadline is. I don't know if the Bucks have some room to make a big move or not, but they have to. They pretty much have to. So I think they'll turn it around. But regardless, I have the Lakers winning because it's so hard to pick against them, and they could slump for the first half of the year and just rest up and then turn it on come playoff time because they've already done it. They've already gone through it before. They could just pace it out, and even if they're just over 500 halfway through the year, as long as they're in, they'll be good. And guys, we're going to wrap it up, but we've got to answer Emmanuel's question here because he dropped $25 on the super chat, so we're really appreciative. Thank you for watching, first of all, but Happy New Year's. I was given a 1956 Topps set with checklist when I was a young kid. I graded them. The mantle came out 1.5. Like a grade?
Mm-hmm.
Is this particular set a good? Man, this is so far beyond my understanding. So hopefully someone else here knows it. Chris?
That's correct.
Any vintage baseball set like that is going to be a good long-term investment. Mickey Mantle is one of the most desirable baseball players. His cards are worth a fortune, along with guys like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, anybody from that time. So it's an incredible gift to have been given a 56 set. Congratulations to you, sir. And, I'm not saying that I would grade every card in the set, but I would definitely enjoy that mantle, and it is absolutely a good long-term investment. I don't see, unless like everybody that was interested in Mickey Mantle dies off, and then the next generation of collectors don't care about Mickey Mantle at all, because that's how things work as far as, we progress over time. And that's why antiques kind of fell off, is because a bunch of people died that collected them and the next generation didn't care. So is the next generation of sports card collectors going to care or recognize Mickey Mantle? The answer is likely yes. So you're sitting with a good long-term investment, in my opinion.
It's funny because I'm like, I know who Mickey Mantle is in terms of collectibles. I don't watch baseball. I just know he's a baseball player from a long time ago, kind of like Babe Ruth. Like, oh yeah, you're the guy that pointed to the stands 150 years ago or whatever. I don't have personal, like, wasn't that him? He like pointed to the stands. I'm gonna hit a home run over there. Okay, so I have zero care for that. But from the collectible standpoint, just being in the hobby, that is a holy grail card or a holy grail player there. But in terms of a new generation, I think that's where it's a good long-term investment overall. But I would be concerned past 20 years or so if that starts to fade, as Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and maybe like Larry or some guys that are from the 70s and 80s start becoming what Mickey Mantle was, because I think part of it is that was what that generation wanted. I also think that if you are a Mickey Mantle collector, or that's your holy grail card, you're probably in your 50s to 70s overall. And that's probably where you have the most amount of money too, which is good. You're not like a 20-year-old wearing baggy pants and like weird looking shoes and mismatching socks trying to afford a deep V t-shirt. So there's something good there. But any other thoughts on that one?
1956, man. I feel like you can't go wrong with any kind of card made then.
Thanks for that deep insight.
Here's the thing, guys. When it comes to vintage cards, yes, the players aren't current. They're not in the face of all the young collectors, But at the end of the day, in the highest grades, the people that are collecting are a different asset class in a sense that they are wealthier. Like you said, you get older, you have wealth from business, whatever it is, investing. So when you look at specifically, let's say like an Eddie Murray rookie card, and you see that the PSA 10 population is very low compared to the PSA 9, which is, a couple thousand, something like that. The people who want the 10s, that's a completely different class of investor or collector. That's somebody who is part of baseball, somebody who has $16 million floating around so they can fight over that card. And why you see such a difference in the value between the PSA 9, because there's a completely different brand of person. So how many people are going for, let's say, a Luka Raw rookie versus the, one of one National Treasures Luka PSA 10 or some shit like that? That is going to be a completely different class of investor. So you have to kind of think about who your target audience is when you're talking about a certain card or investment.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's wrap it up here. It's been an hour and a half. I appreciate all you guys for being on. Everyone in the audience, hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Stay safe, and if it's already 2021, congrats, you made it through this crappy, crazy year. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Yeah, the Dodgers are going to probably win the World Series, and then the Rangers are going to be the breakout team in hockey. That's all I got.
Anyone else?
Oh, go Bucks.
I'll go. Let's try to, and I said it in my video today, but let's try to make 2021 a good year. 2020 was kind of a wild year, but it was a really good year in many ways. So hopefully let's, take a positive attitude into 2021 and
New Year's resolution.
And let's hope for better internet.
Absolutely. Let's get this guy hooked up with something, high speed. He's still rolling with a 28.8 BPS modem over there.
You know what? You can't knock my dial-up internet. I like the classic stuff. I've got a 1956 dial-up modem.
I just kind of picture your wife behind you with a hatchet, holding your mail hostage, ready to destroy your internet.
Yeah. Can we stay on a little longer, guys? Can we stay on a little longer?
Look, blink twice if you're in danger. Let us know.
We're losing you. Oh my God, Dustin!
No, what he's dead.
It comes back and he's dead.
It was a good run.
I had to do that one more time. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful, safe night, and we'll see y'all in 2021.